Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby. And today I'm going to be coming at you with a competitive take for Galaxy Eyes Photons. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this was because someone told me that this deck has no competitive viability and it can never be competitive. And so I decided to actually do this also for you guys because I don't have a build on YouTube for Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon that's extremely competitive. All the builds that I have were super duper combo oriented, and everything in the deck was just basically combo pieces. This build that I have for you is going to be able to combat today's meta while not taking away the consistency that the deck already has. So what I did was I cut down on cards that I already have, so I cut back on ratios. So I didn't actually take away from the actual consistency of the deck. I made sure that I didn't cut any of my searchers, but some of my situational cards that require a setup, I cut those down to lower numbers, which actually does increase your odds of having better hands and less situational and bricky hands. So I'm very happy and proud to showcase this build for you guys. If you would like to take Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragons, or Galaxy, the deck itself, to any event, be it locals, regionals, YCS, heck, even nationals, I highly recommend that you follow this list. I'm not saying that deck me, because I really would respect it if you just, put your own twist to it, but use this as a blueprint and basically a format, a playout, like kind of like a platform for you to build your own deck. So let's hop into the list, you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the start of the deck. So we're obviously maxing out on 3 copies of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. He is absolutely the start of the deck. A lot of the deck, in fact, more than half of your deck actually revolves around this card. So yeah, it's really important to play 3. While you have abilities to search it, you're going to need 1 in hand, 1 in grave, and 1 in deck. So you kind of just need it all over the place. It's a really good card. It has an amazing effect. He's kind of like a battle god. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to play 3 of this card. It's just amazing. Overall, in general, it's a very old cards too, so I don't think I should have to explain his effect, but he's very powerful, and, he can get himself out for pretty much free, which is really awesome too. So yeah, great card. Just really awesome. And something different, I'm playing 2 copies of Galaxy Knight instead of 3. Now, originally, I like this card at 3 a lot. I really do. It's a part of a lot of 2 and 3 card combos where having this in hand is an actual part of the combo. But what I decided to do was, like I was telling you in the beginning of the video, cut back on certain ratios in the cards that have situational setups, because he does require for you to have Galaxy Eyes in your graveyard. So you have to draw him in conjunction with other cards. Whereas just drawing him by himself is just not always that good, unless it's like mid to late game, because he's a really good top deck. Don't get me wrong, he's a 1-card combo once you have your Photon engraved, but because he requires a setup and because I also needed to make space for hand traps and other cards like that, I just felt that 2 was really the perfect number. So we have basically Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragons, his little brother, I would say. So yeah. Next up, we're going to go into our engine cards, which is going to be all of our searchers. We're going to start off with triple Galaxy Soldier. Now, Soldier is actually amazing in his own deck, you guys. He's actually the best in his own deck. He has a lot more variety for the options that he can search. He does a lot more. Just in general, he's just the best in his own deck. There's no reason why you wouldn't play 3 of them. The fact that you can search out your combo pieces before you normal summon and also set up for a combo for your Galaxy Knight is amazing. There's actually a 2-card combo with just Soldier and Photon Dragon. These 2 cards, you would discard this, search out your Knight off of the effect of Soldier, normal summon Knight, bring this guy out, bam, instant rank 8 just off of that. And depending on whether you open with an extender like Vanisher or even Thrasher, you can go into your Soul Flare plus the rank 8, which is actually an amazing setup. So yeah, really good. Just absolutely maximize on your Galaxy Soldier. It's just an amazing card. Next up, we're playing 3 copies of Galaxy Wizard. Now, Galaxy Wizard is really great. And for me, there's only 2 normal summons in this deck, and that's Wizard and Knight. So there's really no reason to not play 3 Wizards. Wizard is arguably the best normal summon of the deck. It's just that he is in a 1-card rank 8, which is why Knight has a little bit more flexibility in the terms of building your board, just having you work less for it. But Wizard is actually insane. He searches practically all of your extenders And in addition to that, his effect is not once per turn. So when you open with your reborn cards, your extenders, you know, cards that can bring this guy back from the grave, you can trigger his effect multiple times in the same turn, which allows you to accumulate a lot of card advantage. It can kind of get out of hand once you're resolving Wizard more than once in the same turn, because you can get Expedition and you can search Galaxy Trance, which is just going to end up being a crazy field of your Soul Flare Dragon, your Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, and also Titanic Galaxy itself, and you'll have 3 disruptions just because you're able to resolve your Knight. Resolve your Wizard multiple times. It's just really, really powerful. Great card, and he can make himself level 8, so yeah. Gotta play him at 3, you have to. If it's a combo piece and it searches out pretty much every card in your deck, there's no reason why you would not play 3 of it. The same goes for Photon Orbital. Photon Orbital is amazing in this deck. Similar to Soldier, he allows you to search your combo pieces that you need without you committing to your normal summon, because your normal summon in this deck is going to go to one of 2 cards. It's going to go to either Wizard or Knight. And depending on your setup, a lot of the times you don't even need a normal summon Knight, which is really awesome, because if you have a card like Trance or Expedition, other extenders like that, you can make your rank 8 without normal summoning. That way Wizard can search out your other cards that you need, so you have your follow-ups. Because no matter what, when you're playing this deck, you want to make sure no matter what board you make that you have a follow-up. And the best way to do that is obviously to just end on your Lord, because Lord will search your follow-up. But also keep in mind that if you don't have Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in your hand, you're going to end up using your Lord to search it out, so that your Soul Flare can also have another disruption for your opponent. So you want to make sure that you, no matter what, can end with a follow-up in your hand. That's why Wizard's really imperative, so that you can search out your follow-up like Trance or Zero or, you know, Expedition. So if your board gets broken, you'll still have a play to make next turn. And Orbital is just insane. Sometimes I will just equip Orbital to my Blast Dragon, because I need to keep Soul Flare instead of dropping out my Star Boy. I'm sorry, not Star Boy, Hoshinigan. And keeping that equipped to the Blast Dragon gives it the boost so that it's over 2002. So now every monster on your field cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which really helps in the Sky Striker matchup, because they can't Widow Anchor your cards. And they also can't Afterburner, you know, your any of your monsters, which is really nice. So it helps. Yeah, it's just really powerful. So yeah, it helps more than just searching out your engine cards. But we still have more. We also have triple Photon Vanisher. Now, Vanisher is really one of my favorite cards in the whole deck. It's just so amazing. It's a free summon that pays for itself. And in general, it's one of the best extenders of the deck. Like, I absolutely need to play 3 of this card. I love opening with it in my hand. Like, it just complements every single hand. Like, even bad hands become good hands just by having this card in your hand. So yeah, there's no reason to not play 3. It's very pointless to waste a searcher on this guy since he's a searcher. So I much prefer to maximize on all my searchers at 3. So that way my searchers can search for the cards that basically can't search themselves out. Because all these cards can search themselves out. So obviously you can literally just go Wizard for Soldier, Soldier for Orbital, Orbital for, you can go Orbital for Wizard, Wizard for Soldier. And then, you know, get out your Vanisher. So, like, basically, you can use all your searchers to search each other, but that's not ideal because you're wasting resources for no reason. These cards are here to search out cards like Photon Dragon, your Galaxy Knight. They're here to search out your Cleric and other of your spells and traps and stuff like that. And speaking of, the final of the Galaxy and Photon family that we're playing is actually Thrasher and Brave. So I decided to play both of these at 1. Now, Thrasher, I actually played 2 in the deck because I played Reinforcement of the Army. And I felt that I didn't feel comfortable for this list playing 3 of this card. Basically, having 2 of this in a Rota is still the equivalent of 3. I felt that I wanted to play enough of it, but at the same time, it's not pivotal to see this card. Like, it's not an imperative combo piece where it's like, yeah, every turn I want to open with Thrasher. That's why I would never actually play 3 in any of my lists. Especially now with the new support out. It's just a really good card, and it can help you out in the long run. But once you have your established board turn 1, this card becomes very dead after that. So I just found that having 2 copies of it was just enough. But playing it at 3 is just not necessary because Thrasher's not an ideal card that you just have to open up with. It just really helps, and sometimes just having that free 21 body can help you to apply pressure. If they ever get into a grind game, or if ever you had the game like pretty much on lock and your opponent breaks your board, but you disrupted them, so now you're in what's called a simplified game state where both players are very low on resources. A card like that can really shine in that particular scenario. Next up, we have Galaxy Brave, another really good extender of the deck. He's basically the equivalent of a Blue Eyes alternative dragon, being that you can reveal your Galaxy Eyes, kind of like how Blue Eyes reveals itself to summon alternative. You reveal your Galaxy Eyes, summon this guy. And it's ideal to reveal Galaxy Eyes. You can reveal any of these Photons, but it's ideal to keep him as a level 8 so you can have that level 8 body for your rank 8 plays. He'll summon himself, and then he can target a Galaxy monster in your graveyard and basically mimic its effect. I'm sorry, not its effect, mimic its attack, so he can become a 3k beater or a 4k beater. So imagine having an alternative that doesn't pop monsters, but you reveal it and it's just a 4,000 beater that you just summon freely. So really good. It complements everything that you do. And it's extremely searchable through basically every single card right here, all these 9 cards. So I found that like I didn't really need to play more of it, especially for this list, because you have to make room for hand traps. Next up, we're playing 1 copy of Cleric. This is super focal to play in every single list, I find, and none of the lists are playing it, and I really disagree. You have to play this card, and it's only a 1 of. You're never playing more than 1 of it, because you actually can loop it with your Soul Flare Dragon, which is really important too, because this deck burns through its resources extremely quickly, and it's really important to be able to keep the tempo. And when you need to keep the tempo is normally in mid-game, meaning after turn 1, basically. Turn 2 and beyond, you need to keep your tempo. You need to maintain your resources in a responsible manner. Making sure that you always have access to your Soul Flare, because Soul Flare allows you to extend your combos every single turn and give you follow-ups. Just making Soul Flare and adding Night back and just having a complete established rank 8 all over again is really important. And a cool interaction with Cleric that a lot of people don't pay attention to is that Titanic Galaxy is actually classified as a Galaxy card. You can summon it under your Galaxy Trance, and you can also put it back with your Cleric. So being able to put this back and summon it again is just amazing in general. So the card's just awesome. It's actually a +2. You're actually able to put all your stuff back and draw 2. So for me, that's not a +1, that's a +2. I'm getting a lot of resources back. I have a body on field for my Link summoning, and I'm drawing 2 cards. So in general, it's just incredible. Puts back your Sanctuaries, your Expeditions, your Trance, your Zero. So all your 1-ups get put right back. So you can comfortably play your 1-ups without worrying about needing them again. So if ever your 1-ups come up a second time in the middle of the duel, you never have to worry about not having access to them, because he'll put them right back into your deck. Absolutely have to play the card. You can even trigger them off special summon. And next up, we're going to have our hand traps. So let's go ahead and grab these. Man, I love the artwork of this deck. And I highly recommend that you guys check out all my other Galaxy Eyes profiles on the channel, because all of them are really good. Like, none of them are bad. This one, for me, is just extremely competitive. So that's your family right there. Now for hand traps, we have double Ash Blossom and double Joel Unlock. I also play in permanences, but I'm going to keep them in the category of traps. So for monster hand traps, I found that for this deck, you can't play too many hand traps, because this deck's extremely combo-oriented, and it has its days where the hands are not optimal enough when you have too many hand traps. And so I found that not only did I need to not play too many hand traps, but I couldn't risk drawing too many of the same hand trap as well. So I found that any monster hand trap that's once per turn, I would definitely just play 2 of it. Whereas Joel Lockbird is not hard once per turn, but once you resolve 1, you can't resolve another one, obviously, because they're not going to be drawing or searching anymore. So these cards really help in the long run. Joel really helps against the FTK and against Gokis and Sky Strikers. And when you control somebody with this deck, it's really strong, because this deck has a high probability of OTKing you on the follow-up. It's just a very aggressive deck. So yeah, that's going to be it for the monsters. The hand traps, we have 7 in the main deck. And I found that it could have been actually 9, but I just felt that 9 would be too much, because then that would be 1/4 of my deck would be hand traps. And that is taken away from the consistency of the deck, because now I have a high probability of drawing more hand traps, whereas I really just need 1 or 2 to just stun my opponent so that I can continue with my follow-ups for my next turn, and I can actually either OTK them or I can break their board and establish my own, which is totally optimal. With this deck, the way it operates, you don't always need to kill your opponent right away, because every board you're making is so powerful that it can hold you down while at the same time really decreasing the tempo of your opponent's plays, and it has extremely controlling elements to it. All the extra deck monsters you're summoning are all generating overwhelming and dominant field presence that can control everything your opponent does. You have negations, You have disruptions, you have follow-ups, you have consistent board presence. It's just really strong. I love this deck's recursion elements. This deck has an insane recovery and recursion recyclability, the ability to reestablish multiple times, and just generate so much card advantage is just really, really strong. And then you're summoning out monsters that can absolutely control what your opponent does. It's a really strong deck. Now for our spells. We have 3 copies of Photon Sanctuary. Now, Sanctuary is just insane, you guys. It's actually the best spell of the deck. Now, Sanctuary, after turn 1, it becomes a 1-card combo. It's actually insane. What you can do with Sanctuary, which has happened to me actually in actual experience where my board was broken, I actually searched Sanctuary off of Lord, because Lord searches any Galaxy or Photon card. So what I ended up doing off of the Sanctuary is I played it, I made Solar Flare, and used his effect to add my Galaxy Knight from my grave to my hand. And then I normal summoned Galaxy Knight. And then I got out my my Dragon. And then I went into a rank 8 right after that. So I totally reestablished off of 1 card. And it would have been even more powerful if I had Galaxy Trance, because I could then just trance out one of my other dragons from my grave and then bring out another guy from deck. And then I can end on Titanic Galaxy plus Lord and Soul Flare all off of 2 cards. But I didn't have Trance for that hand. I just had literally just the Sanctuary. So this was the only card that I had, because the card that I drew for turn was just garbage. So yeah, this is just a really, really strong card. Very flexible. It's not once per turn. It has applications going first and going second. And when you're going into mid to late game and grinding, these become so important, you guys. You're searching this off of Lord a lot. You're putting them back into your deck with your Cleric so that you can continue to resolve it. As long as you can loop Cleric with your Soul Flare, you'll actually never run out of extra deck cards. You'll never run out of your main deck either. So yeah, really, really powerful card. It's actually, like I said, it's the best spell of the deck. Next up, the only draw power that I opted to play was actually just trade-ins. Now, I have a very good reason for that. And my reason is this. Desires is a great card, and I'm a huge advocate of it, especially for decks like this when you can search out everything you need, and a vast majority of your imperative combo pieces are at 3. But what I'm not an advocate of is banishing my 2-ofs and my 1-ofs, and also having to play with less resources, especially if I banish my Cleric. So because there are quite a few 1-ofs that I care about and that I really need in my deck, and then there's 2-ofs that I need in my deck, and then a majority of my spells are 1-ofs, I just felt that I could not play Pot of Desires comfortably, because there's no way I could search out all those cards before resolving Desires. I could search some, but not all, and I really need all of them in general, because this deck, while it's fast-paced and it can OTK and it really can end games fast, just like Cyber Dragons, it also has the ability to grind with the best decks. It has the ability to grind with Altergeist, Sky Strikers. This deck's tempo can increase, decrease, fluctuate, and just gradually it can actually accelerate as well. And it's just totally based on the matchup. So this deck can afford to play slow or fast just because of how the playstyle is. And that's why I really need access to all my resources at any given time. And Desires is just too much of a risk for me. Because if I banish a lot of my 1-of spells, I won't be able to grind with Altergeist. And for Altergeist, it's really hard to kill them fast sometimes, because they're going to be negating a lot of the things that you do. Bouncing your cards, disrupting you, flipping floodgates, and punishing you. So it's like you really need access to every card. If you want to play competitive, you actually can't play Desires. And that sounds so counterintuitive coming from my mouth, but Desires is not conducive with the grind game, which is really important because of decks like Sky Strikers and Altergeist. So yeah, Trade-In is really just the only draw power that I can afford to play comfortably, and it's never a dead card. There were times when I've resolved Trade-In, drew another one, went into Soul Flare, added my Galaxy Eyes from grave, and then ended up trading it in again just to draw another 2 cards. It's just really strong. You set it up very easily. Your level 8s are extremely searchable, and you already play 6 in the main deck. So now continuing with our spells, we have 2 copies of Galaxy Expedition. It's absolutely correct to play this card at 2. It's a great combo piece, and it's just a great card in general. But similar to a lot of other cards in this deck, it requires a setup. And for me, a setup means you have to have a specific card in a specific place. So you have to draw it in conjunction with other cards, and those other cards have to be able to set this up in the first place. So it's a really great 2-of. You actually can recycle it and continue to put it back into your deck, so you're never going to run out of these. And once you have one, it's totally fine because you resolve it, you put it back, you continue to search them out. And for me, it's already so searchable by a myriad of different cards in your deck that you just really don't need 3. And at the same time, drawing 2 of it sucks, and then drawing it at the wrong time sucks because it requires a setup. So yeah, you really got to cut back on some of the cards that are not great but good enough. Next up, we have 2 Called by the Graves. The reason being is because this deck can lose really hard to Joel and Lockbird. Ash Blossom is not so much of a problem, neither is Bell and Impermanence. This deck actually has so many plays afforded to it that there's not very much that your opponent can stop with just one hand trap. They would definitely have to have like double Impermanence or like Ash plus Impermanence or like Valor plus Impermanence, stuff like that. They need multiple hand traps to stop this deck's combos. So the call by is really here just for the Droll. If I can call by the Droll, I don't care if they Ash or Impermanence, something that I do, because I know that I can still end on a strong enough board to beat them. So yeah, call by is just incredible, really strong. And since this build is competitive, you need stuff like called by. And now for my plethora of one-of spells, we have Rank Up Magic, the 7th one, which is the best one-of spell in my deck. This card is actually so godly when you draw it that you will win the duel. By resolving this, your opponent will no longer be able to activate cards or effects, being monsters, spells, traps, and it's anywhere. Hand, grave, field, banish zone, anywhere. And all the cards on their field will also have their effects negated. So your opponent will actually be a sitting duck and they will just be watching you go off, which is insane. So this card is so high ceiling. Even though it's a one-of, it's the sackiest of one-ofs that you absolutely, if you have space in your extra deck, you've got to play it. It does come as a package deal, but if you have space in your extra deck, there's no reason why you shouldn't play this card. This card will win you games by itself. It's just so powerful. It's insane. And it's the best top deck that you can have. Like, when you draw this and you have, like, a Soul Flare and, you know, kind of like a semi-established board, and then you drop that Tachyon, not the baby Tachyon, I mean the gangsta Tachyon, you're just going to win the game and you're going to OTK them. And there's no way they can hand trap this. That's why I love this. This card cannot be Ash Blossom. It can't be Belled. It can't be Ogre. When you activate this card, there's literally, they have to have a Solemn Judgment or something to negate a spell, or they're just going to lose. So yeah, and because it's so hard to counter, that's what makes it even better. And next up, we have 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army to search out either your Thrasher or your Vanisher. Oftentimes, I'll be searching Thrasher. Because this does help going second. If you have this or Thrasher plus Vanisher, you can go Special Thrasher, Special Vanisher, search out your Galaxy Eyes, overlay to Exciton Knight, use Exciton Knight to nuke the board, and you still have not committed to your normal summon, so you can just continue with your follow-ups after that. So Rhoda's pretty good going second as well. Next up, we have 1 copy of Galaxy Trance, 1 copy of Galaxy Zero, 1 copy of Monster Reborn, and 1 copy of Soul Charge. Now, I wanted to play enough revival cards, but I did not want to play too many because revival cards similar to cards like Expedition and also similar to cards like Galaxy Knight are cards that do require a setup. And while setting up your grave is not difficult in this deck, playing too many revival cards in this list is a little difficult because I'm playing more hand traps than I normally would combo pieces, because every hand trap in this deck was a combo piece. So because I have less combo pieces, I have less probability of setting up for cards like these. So I wanted to minimize on the brick hands, but still have access to cards like these because they're really good extenders. This is probably like one of the best ones, but Soul Charge has it beat, obviously. But this one, you can just get 1 Photon Dragon in your grave, and this becomes a 1-card rank 8 by itself, which is really strong. Zero's your searchable Monster Reborn. It's really powerful. It can protect your guy from being destroyed by anything in the battle phase. And then Reborn's Reborn, and Soul Charge is just, you know, it's game, normally. So yeah, they're really strong. And also, these 2 one-of extenders are searchable and recyclable, so you can resolve them multiple times in the progression of 1 duel. So I just found that this was just enough. Next up for our traps, I play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence and 2 copies of Tachyon Transmigration. The traps in this deck are insane, you guys. They're really powerful. Impermanence, the reason why I chose 3 Impermanence over 3 Ash or 3 Joel is because this happens to not be once per turn. You can activate more than 1 Impermanence in the same turn. Whereas Ash, you cannot activate more than 1. And Joel, if you already activated 1, why would you activate the second one? You can't even do it because your opponent can no longer put you in the condition where you're able to resolve drill. So I felt that the other hand traps are not good to draw multiples, but this is. And when you're playing a deck that's so combo oriented and so fragile, meaning like when you draw the wrong cards you can lose, you really have to be careful how many hand traps you play. And if you're going to play one at 3, it has to be one that you can afford to draw multiples of, and it won't result in you losing. And Impermanence fits that criteria perfectly, and it also counters Call by the Grave because it's not a monster. And also, it has applications going first that have higher impact than Ashen Droll, because this is a trap that can negate 2 cards, a monster and a spell or trap, which is really powerful. So Impermanence is insane. And then you have the best, the most godly trap. Like, this trap makes, obviously, like the list of top 5 best traps in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! This card is insane. Especially when you have 7th one and you resolve 7th one and you have Transmigration in your hand. Like, it's too much sauce, you guys. It's just way too much sauce. It's like, you can't even do anything, but if you thought that you could, I would negate it anyways. This card's insane. So, basically, what it does is it negates the, basically, it negates anything that was activated prior to it in the Chain Link. So, if you activate this card as Chain Link 3, Chain Link 2 and 1 of your opponent's effects will be negated. So, it doesn't negate your cards, but it negates your opponent's. So, depending on when you flip this card, it can negate more than just one, basically is what it is. So, it's bare minimum, it's a Solemn Judgment slash, basically, it's like, not just a judgment, but it's kind of like a ultimate providence. That's a better way to describe it, because it negates any action. It will negate spell, trap, monster, it doesn't matter. Any card effect, and shuffle it to the deck. And it gets really out of hand when your opponent's doing like a Goki combo, and they go Chain Link 1, Goki, Chain Link 2, Isolde, you know, Chain Link 3, this, and you just flip this and you negate all 3 of them and just say, yeah, like that's not going to happen. And it's not even once per turn, which is why I'm actually really debating on playing this card at 3, because it's not a bad card to draw, and it's easy to set up for, because all you need to do is just control a Galaxy Eyes monster to activate it in the first place. And if you have Tachyon, you can play it from hand. So yeah, it's just an insane counter trap. Every board that you can make, especially when you do the Infinity plus Lord and Solar Flare board, if you have this card in your hand, you're going to win the duel, because you literally just have too much negations. And especially if you have it with Impermanence, it's just too strong. Because the board of Soul Flare, Infinity, and also your Lord is a 3-card combo. So if you draw that 3-card combo plus this and Impermanence, yeah, there's no way you're losing that duel. That's just too much negates. Really powerful. So yeah, that's it for the main deck, you guys. Now we're going to go into the extra deck. The extra deck gets pretty interesting. So we're going to start off with our Link Monster. 2 copies of Galaxy Eye Soul Flare. Absolutely correct to play this ratio at 2 and not 3, but especially not 1. The reason being is because I have Cleric in my list, so I don't even have to waste an extra deck slot on playing 3 of this. It can obviously loop itself, but it's much better to just loop your Cleric so that you just never run out of resources. It's really powerful. It's already going to be able to protect itself because it can pop your opponent's monsters during their main phase, but it also just extends every combo that you do. It just adds cards from your grave to hand, which is really vital. It's just a great Link Monster. I couldn't ask for more out of this Link Monster. 1 copy of Hippo Shinigin. The interaction that I explained where you want to get your Blast Dragon to be over 2,000 attack 2 so that he can't be targeted or destroyed. So the end result is your entire board can't be targeted or destroyed. And if you want that extra layer of protection, you'll equip your Orbital to him. So that way, even if Sky Strikers find a way to pop Shinigin, which would result in him being not 2,000, he'll still be 2,000 because of the Orbital. Which just means you're basically, Sky Strikers are going to have to find a way to deal with him before they can deal with the rest of your board. So they're going to have to waste 3 ways to pop. So they're going to have to literally have double Afterburner, pop this, and then add it off of, you know, the Link Monster, and then pop your Orbital somehow, pop that, and then end up popping this, and then have to Widow Anchor the rest of your board. So it just makes it nearly impossible. So yeah, Hippo Shinigin is just so amazing. And then he also helps for the Griffin combo. If you have any of your standard combos, plus when you open with double Sanctuary, that's where Griffin comes in really handy, because he's a light monster, and you can still summon him under the restriction of Sanctuary. And you use your excess resources that you don't need, turn him into a Shinigin, link with a Shinigin and 2 other guys, and then you go Griffin. And it's going to be looking like this. Griffin is not going to be co-linked, unfortunately, so you won't get like any draws or anything like that. But you will have this zone open. you'll have this zone open too. And if you want, you can summon them in the middle, and that'll have 1, 2, 3 zones open too. So it just depends where you put them. But yeah, it's going to make every board even more insane because you're already going to have negations. And you add a Griffin to that, it just makes it that much better. So yeah, the 4 link monsters is all you really need. Then we have the best XYZ monster of the deck. This card is really skillful. It's really powerful. It's the main play that you're going for turn 1. Sometimes even going second, you summon this guy because he can really defend himself like extremely well. He already can't be destroyed by card effects, and he can fend for himself. Like, this card doesn't need any help, and I like him for that. He's a really standalone, powerful card. I would play 2, but the thing is I have Soul Flare and Cleric to just add this back, so it just really doesn't come up the way that you think it would because you're always recycling it. And there were games where I've literally sat on this guy for like 4 turns because it just couldn't kill him. All my other boss monsters were just fending for themselves too. And I just started using his effect and then generating more advantage and putting cards under him as materials and then searching more. And he just does so much for you. This guy searches for your entire deck, any Photon or Galaxy card, which is something that came up in testing an interaction with Photon hand, where I ended up searching hand off of him. And on the follow-up, I ended up doing hand to take a monster, Galaxy Eye Cypher to take a monster, Full Armor Photon to pop a monster, Cypher Blade to pop a back row, and ended up attacking, not directly, but attacking the rest of the monsters, and then linking away with the monster I took off hand and off Cypher Blade. And I did not attack directly with anything except for Cypher itself. And I ended up just linking into my Griffin, which is insane. And I used 2 of their monsters that I took, and one of them was a link 2, which really helped so I could make the Griffin. So yeah, this can come up. So he's even more flexible than you think because he can assist in breaking boards because he can search out powerful cards like Photon hand. So in general, like I said, he's just your best turn 1 play. He's really the best XYZ in the whole deck. Arguably the best extra deck monster, and arguably the best monster of the whole archetype because he literally searches everything. He's just so broken. He's way too good, you guys. Then we have 1 copy of Titanic Galaxy. If you ever do your trance combo, you end up having these guys under your Soul Flare. And you can do it because he is classified as a Galaxy monster, which is really helpful in this deck. So he has some synergy in this deck. He's just a really good card. Obviously, stops your other guys from being attacked because he'll change the attack target to himself. We have Tachyon. Tachyon's a really powerful card. When you get into Tachyon, once you hit the battle phase, he's going to negate all other cards on the field. So at that point, you're actually free to OTK without the fear of your opponent flipping any back rows or anything like that. Especially for Altergeist, it just really helps so that they can't kill you or stop you from killing them. But also what's more important is he's a target for your 7th one. So I normally refrain from summoning him unless I drew 7th one off of trade-in and I know I can't resolve it. Then I'll summon him the regular way. Because a 7th one has to be drawn for turn. You can't draw it off of a Desires or a trade-in and then resolve it. And then we have Cypher. We have Full Armor Photon. We have Cypher Blade. And we also have Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon for all of your Galaxy XYZs. Now, this guy is still a Galaxy XYZ, but he's not Galaxy Eyes. Tachyon's just incredible. It's insane. You guys should know what its effect does. It's pretty old. Cypher is just... This is like you're going second. You're breaking board package. And when you search this off of Lord, it just gets even nastier because you're literally clearing 1, 2, 3, 4 cards and you're still attacking, which is just incredible. So yeah, really, really powerful interactions going second, breaking boards and making boards at the same time. Couldn't ask for more. This is the reason why you're winning when you resolve 7th one. Because this card actually says that your opponent cannot activate any cards or effects for the rest of the turn. And all cards on your opponent's field basically are just negated. Which is just, it's incredible. Like, you couldn't ask for more, and it's 4,500 base. 4,500 base. You get him a Starboy out, that's 5,000. You equip a Photon Orbital, that's 5,500. Like, you're getting over a lot of stuff. Just a powerhouse, a really, really powerful card. So incredible. Just, wow. Then we have Infinity and Nova. Because your Galaxy Soldier can go into these. Something that I wanted to play, which was in my other list, was Pleiades. And the reason why I want to play Pleiades and still do is because Cleric can recycle your Galaxy Soldiers. And then you can do a Galaxy Soldier combo again. And then you can have the option for another disruption being Pleiades. Because you can't recycle these. So it's come up, but it hasn't come up enough to where I'm just like, I have to have another rank 5 target. because Soldier still also can just search another card besides himself, and he still is link fodder for your Flare. But it's just something that if you have space, then you can play Pleiades as well. I recommend it. We have Blast Dragon. This really helps in your Sky Striker matchup because it just makes all of your cards unable to be Widow Anchored or Afterburnered. And if you think of it, that's really they're out. Like, that's their removal. That's the only way Sky Strikers, the archetype specific cards, can remove your stuff. So at that point, they need Kaijus and like not impermanences. They can't even impermanence your board. It's like having Cerbis and Nightmare Goblin. This is why Sky Strikers used to struggle against that extra link board, because they couldn't pop anything and they couldn't Widow Anchor anything. This guy makes your board practically just like that. All of your monsters basically can't be targeted or destroyed. And then you get a Photon Orbital in the midst, and then nothing can be destroyed by battle as long as an Orbital is equipped, because you can equip Orbital more than once. So then you have guys that say, I can't be destroyed by battle, I can't be destroyed by card effects, and I can't be targeted, and I'm going to negate whatever you play. So good luck, have fun. He's really powerful. On summon, he's going to summon a Photon monster from hand. And then during your opponent's turn, he can special Galaxy Eyes from Banish Zone or Grave. Just a really powerful rank 4. And then we're playing Exciton because he's just so high ceiling, insane going second. You know, Thrasher, Vanisher, free Exciton. You don't even normal summon, and you get another search for your Galaxy Eyes. You just nuke their board. You chain it if they try to chain something, and you nuke their board a second time. And then you can always just, when you're done, do your full combo, link him into Mastar Boy, which is another good reason for playing. I'm not Mastar Boy, I'm sorry, Hippo Shinigen. Another good reason for playing on Shinigen because he's a light, and then you won't clog your extra monster zone that way. Then you can do a full combo. So yeah, that's going to conclude the extra deck, you guys. And the profile in general, I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. So some cards that you can tech. I'm still debating whether this be side or main. If you want to play a second Lord, you can play it. This is only if you don't play Cleric in your list. If you don't play the one Cleric, you're going to have to play the second Lord because it'll come up. But since I recycle them, I'm not worried about that. Prime Photon's a great card. It's really powerful. OTKs just for days. And it'll come back as an 8,000 beat stick if your opponent kills it. 8,000 attack. Like, that's not a lot, you know? World Legacy Succession is a really good card if you want to try it out. You're getting out your link fairly consistently. But I was good on revival cards. I already had enough. So yeah, just some cards that you might want to tech out if you're interested.